Hello and welcome everybody to All the Rage Sports Podcast. With me, as always, I got my full panel, Andy and Kevin, and also Jace down at the bottom. How we doing today, guys?
Wonderful.
I'm back after a week hiatus. I have returned.
And it's
Thank
good to
God.
have you.
Thank
Thank you,
God,
thank you,
because
thank you,
these
thank
two
you.
suck.
We got a complaint from our one loyal listener, my Uncle Lonnie, that says, Jace, when I need you back there, I can't stand to listen to these guys without your opinions.
I mean,
So
Somebody has to be the intelligent voice of reason, and it just has to be me.
well, Jason, are you still saying the Browns are going to the Super Bowl? Because that's the only reason Lonnie wanted you on here.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Kevin, you said
I
Russell
can
Wilson sucks. Like,
I can unequivocally
nothing's
say,
gonna top that.
I can unequivocally tell you, you heard it here first, folks. The Browns aren't going to the Super Bowl.
I don't think they heard it there first. So today,
Breaking news, first reported.
If I could make a scroller at the bottom, that's what it would say. Chase Junk reports. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that Monday night game, the craziness with the Niners losing their first game. A lot of people are hearing different things in the coin toss, and it's pretty interesting that I was able to hear it both ways. You guys kind of all heard it different ways, so we're going to talk about that. Lamar Jackson hit his 16th start, so we're going to kind of talk about his statistics and see where they lay out. A lot of people are talking about him being absolutely like insane, bonkers, amazing. I'm kind of like, but we'll find out about that. Colin Kaepernick's getting a tryout set up by the NFL down in Atlanta on Saturday. So we'll talk about that a little bit and what that means. We do have Jay Specs. We'll finally get his power rankings. I don't think I ever posted the ones from last week, but trust me, you didn't want to go with our picks. So it wasn't pretty. But we'll go over that. We'll make our picks and we'll, the only other thing I kind of want to touch on just a little bit is, and it was kind of recent, Andy Dalton saying that he is being benched because they have to think about the draft. So we'll talk a little bit about, tanking teams. So, but that's all coming at you on All the Rage Sports Podcast. So I want to start out. We'll start out with that Monday night game. Obviously, it was a huge one. Most of us, I think all of us went with the 49. Well, Jace was the only one that actually did go with the Seahawks. He gave me his picks a little late, and I never really got him up online because, well, he kind of gave them to me.
Yeah, I had some things going on last week that prevented me from getting my stuff in time,
but no worries, we got him, and he won this week, but it still does. He's still a whole 6 wins behind me. So
it's like winning a beauty pageant. There's a punchline in there somewhere.
In Franklin.
Yeah, in Franklin, basically.
Well, let's take a look. Our Thursday night games: Raiders beat out the Chargers 26-24. Lions lost to the Bears 20-13. Ravens clobbered the Bengals 49-13. The Bills lost to the Browns 19-16. The Panthers got stuffed in the goal line at the end of the game, losing to the Packers 24-16. Falcons ended up beating the Saints, which I don't know who would have guessed that one, 26-9. Jets ended up beating the Giants 34-27. Saquon Barkley did nothing in that game. Titans ended up beating the Chiefs, which with a Patrick Mahomes which puts the Chiefs at 6-4. So that's interesting for the Raiders. The Dolphins ended up beating the Colts. They win 2 in a row now. Colts lose 2 in a row. Steelers ended up beating the Rams on a late game interception by Minka and ended up winning that one 17-12. Vikings beat the Cowboys. Minka.
It's a me.
It's a Minka Fitzpatrick.
That was terrible.
That was pretty bad. I'm just gonna go by that.
Cancel the entire fucking podcast after that.
We're gonna refund. We're each gonna individually refund our 16 cents to Brian Baden.
Yeah. Vikings beat the Cowboys, moving to 7-3, beating them 28-24. And the Seahawks squeak out a overtime win over the Niners after the Niners missed a field goal, and then the Seahawks drove down to do their own field goal. So, taking a look at our picks, I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this because we were all garbage. I went 4-9.
Hot garbage.
Hot, steamy garbage. Jace ended up going 7-6. I went 4-9. Kevin went a dismal 3-10. And then Andy went 4-9 as well.
Comeback season.
So this brings the standings to Jace coming up the rear at 84 wins.
Andy, he's always coming up your rear.
Andy with 85, Kevin with 86, and then me up front with 91. So thank you. Even after a dismal week.
Your math is really fucking off.
No, it's not.
I was behind you by 3 games last week. How did I go?
Well, I gained one on you.
You gained 1, so how did but
you had 80?
You said I was at 86.
You were 84, or you were 4 wins behind me because you were at 83 and I was at 87. And you got 3 wins, so you're 86, and I got 4, so I'm at 91. My math is not off.
Okay. He's very bad at English, but he is good at math.
5 wins behind me now because I gained 1 on you.
I'm gonna have to ask for a recount.
Well, we can go through. We have it all listed.
We don't have enough time for that.
That's a later show.
Yeah, definitely a different show. So let's talk about this Monday night game. There was some injuries that happened pretty early. Manuel Sanders had 2 catches, then he went out with a rib injury. Tyler Lockett got injured, something with, I think, his lower calf or something along that lines.
They're calling it a leg contusion.
He was growing a second Pro Bowl wide receiver on his leg.
Yeah. But I did look it up before we started. He spent 2 days in the hospital to get the swelling down because he actually lost feeling in his lower leg. So they had to hospitalize him. The Seahawks owner sent the plane back to get him today, so he's okay. He's back home. But, he almost lost his foot and some other stuff, but he's expected to play after the bye.
It's insane. That's stupid. Yeah, so they said that, it cut blood flow off to his leg with how swollen it was. So, yeah, that's immensely dangerous kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was in a lot of pain, and so it took the 2 number 1 receivers out of the game, and I think you saw more of the effects on the Niners than you saw on.
Well, that's because they don't have a number 2 receiver,
and they don't even
be on anybody else's team a number 4.
And they didn't have Kittle. Didn't play,
Kittle,
right?
Yeah, no Kittle.
No Kittle, Sanders. No Sanders.
There's your difference maker.
Yeah. Tevin Coleman was the only one left on the team that could catch a football.
Breida got hurt again, too, didn't he?
Well,
that's every week.
Death, taxes, and Matt Breida getting dinged up.
Yeah. He's
ever draft him in
permanently
fantasy football. He's terrible.
I have him in my Yahoo league, and I'm not happy about it. Last year, he did great.
Can I just tell a real quick story about our fantasy league?
Yes.
So, to our listeners, real quick, my grandmother passed away. We were at the funeral today. Very emotional. We had just sat the casket down, and I hear somebody walk up behind me, and I had played. You've heard us talk about how our Uncle Brian's whipping our asses in fantasy this year. Yeah, Jesse's dad. And, crying, tearing up a little bit, and I feel a hand on my shoulder, and somebody walks up and whispers in my ear, "You're welcome for that ass whipping I handed you last week." Literally, they're about to start. The pastors up front were just about to go, and he comes up and goes, "I beat your ass in fantasy. Congratulations."
We should be on a commercial for that.
But honestly, it should be. But it made me laugh. It was
well timed by Mr.
Yeah, it was much needed comedic relief.
Yeah. Yes. So Jace has got not only 16 cents, but an ass whipping from Ryan Baden.
Yeah.
Yep. He opened the can of whoop ass.
Then I go over to say, talk to Jace, and my dad goes, "Hey, by the way, I'm coming for you this week." I'm like,
well, in between the two of you, I got my ass kicked last week.
He's hot right now.
The man is focused. He doesn't care the event. He doesn't care. He is focused on his fantasy team, and I respect that.
Well, I mean, his team says it all. Juice Smith your ass.
Yeah, he is
coming for everybody
He is Juju Schmitting our asses.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic today.
All right, I'm sorry to get off topic, but I just had to get that one out there.
Yes. But yeah, so the Monday night game, did it make, because I'm hard blaming Sanders for the downfall, because you had Robbie Gold, their normal kicker.
Robbie Gordon was a NASCAR driver, Jesse.
Yeah.
Robbie Gold, their normal kicker. Out.
You just said it again.
Did I?
Yes.
Robbie Gold. There we go. Okay.
Road course expert, Robbie Gordon.
Walking
out there kicking field goals, taking names. Yeah, so Robbie Gold is out. Emmanuel Sanders went out in the game. George Kittle's out. Are you going to blame this on injuries, or did it just kind of look like the Seahawks are that good that they can take down a giant like that?
I'm going to gloss over the fact you called him George Kittle, but
Kittle. Sorry.
I think
don't ever let me host a show.
Yeah.
So I calling him Kettle Black.
Yeah. Why wasn't that anybody's fantasy name? Calling the Kittle Black. I don't know, but
well, that's next year.
Yeah, I gave you your one. You can pay me for that, but the kicker really didn't matter. I mean, that kid, I kind of felt bad for him pooching that one at the end, but he made one from the exact same length to send it to overtime, and like Booger and all of them were like, "Oh, the moment was too big for him," and this and that. It's not easy being a kicker these days. Like, the kid just kind of screwed up. But
had he hit that kick, I would have beaten Jesse in our other fantasy league because I lost to him by 1 fucking point. That kick would have put me in the lead.
You had the kicker? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I had Mike Nugent. Whoever the Bengals kicker is or something.
I'm going to print out a pie chart, and it's just going to be things you hate to see, and it's just going to be that all over it. But
Chase McLaughlin.
Yeah, hate to see it.
As soon as you lose Kittle, I mean, you don't have him, and you lose Sanders, and like you mentioned, the Breida injury, that spells.
Well, they're used to that by now.
Yeah. Well, and then even on the Seattle side of the football with losing Tyler Lockett, I mean, it was to be honest, it was a good game while also being a bad game at the same time. Mm-hmm. It was a fucking turnover palooza.
They both had defensive touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, Garoppolo has had his issues somewhat throughout the year with turnovers, but Russell was just like handing them the football half the game. It was just not a good game by either team, really, when it comes to efficiency. I don't really like. I think maybe the injuries might have hurt the 49ers a little bit more because you're talking about their two best weapons on offense that they have right now, as opposed to Seattle losing their one best weapon they have on offense right now. So I say I don't look at the 49ers as being any less than I did before. And I don't look at the Seattle Seahawks being any more than they were before that game.
Are they dropping down because of this loss? Because the people kind of got on the Patriots when they lost to the Ravens a little bit, like, ooh, maybe they unloaded, they unlocked the formula to beat them this year, kind of thing. And I don't feel that way about this 49ers loss. It was a really close game, and the Niners had it if they would have made that field goal. So
yeah, and then I've said before, the one thing that I saw that is always promising to me, like we've talked about with the Arizona Cardinals and how Kingsbury is a little bit better of a coach than we thought he'd be, is second half adjustments, because the 49ers were getting shut down for the majority of that second half and even sort of into the third quarter a little bit, but then they made the adjustments to be able to move the football and get tied back up and take it to overtime. I really am impressed with Kyle Shanahan as a coach, and I think that's going to be one of their keys to making a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah,
his play calling and just management of the game is
absolutely
incredible.
Hold on to the football.
The next time the Niners and Seahawks play is Week 17.
Yeah, that's going to be one hell of a game.
Good chance that could be for the number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah,
it'll either
there
be,
may be no
you're either
there
going
may
to be
be no
fifth
sitting
seed or
starters.
one seed.
I think that that we've said it all year that the Seahawks are just going to find ways to win. I mean, they're having that year. It wasn't a pretty win, but I mean,
none of their wins have been this year.
They're the most. They win so abnormally, like they don't play normal football. Russell Wilson and Chris Carson do not have an offensive line. Like
No.
I was reading. I always scroll through Twitter while I'm watching the games. I saw somebody tweeted Russell should just do himself a favor and throw the ball away as soon as it's snapped to him. Because the guy is constantly running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to make something happen. And Chris Carson, as far as I knew, I was just looking that up, was one of the rushing leaders as far as yardage in the NFL, which I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
But they are making a lot. I mean, the defense isn't playing great. They're just getting by, and the offense is kind of doing the same. But the wins keep piling up, and you can't argue with it. They're just.
Well, and I think
Russell Wilson's the common denominator.
And that's what I was just gonna say. I think the funny part here is you could, if you took and supplanted Russell Wilson into Cleveland and Baker Mayfield into Seattle, you would just flip the fucking records. They're the same team with a different quarterback.
I do agree.
No
with you on
offensive
that.
line, good running back,
That's
good receiving
very
core,
good.
defense underperforming.
And one
but
would
they
argue
have a
that
quarterback
Baker's got
that
more
makes
weapons.
better decisions.
Baker does have more weapons.
Yeah, he has more. Well, I mean, he lost Njoku, tight end, so I mean, Russell does have Luke Wilson.
Russell Wilson lost Will Disley.
Yeah.
He has Luke Wilson, though.
They've been using Jacob
That's not
Hollister more than
saying
Luke
much.
Wilson.
Luke Wilson is the pride of Canada.
He is. Rice University. But no, they've been using Hollister a lot more, and like I said, they're doing a lot more. You look at the Browns, like Kevin said, you make that comparison. Russell Wilson is doing a lot more with a lot less.
Yeah. Well, he has.
It comes down to
like
he's making good decisions with the
third
football.
year in the league. Like,
well, back then he
never
had a really good
supplemented
defense.
him. Yes, and that was it. They don't supplement him. They were supplementing the defense, and then now there's no one left but Bobby Wagner, and KJ Wright, but like there's no one left there from the Legion of Boom. Their defense isn't that way anymore, and it's shifted. And I've seen this shift before, and it was with Ben. And I know you're gonna hit that button. But it was. When Ben started, he had a ridiculous defense, one of the best in the league for about the first 3 or 4 years. Then they got old and they started retiring or going elsewhere. Then it turned into Ben had to run everything. And then it was, the last 4 or 5 years, the Steelers' offense is crazy, but that defense is a liability. And now we're seeing that fluctuate back to where the defense is good. So,
to bring me back to my original point on the Seahawks, how many Super Bowls did the Steelers win in that era?
2.
No, and the Ben Roethlisberger runs everything.
Oh, no. Oh,
0.
Yeah, no, nothing. Nothing in that era, no.
That's why I've been down on the Seahawks, because I think when it comes to the important games against the teams that have defenses,
I don't disagree with you on that.
I think they will
pull it out.
I think they get this one. I think if it comes down to it in the playoffs, the 49ers defense is much more well-rounded and much better.
And if they'll have Sanders and Kittle, it's a completely different story too.
It is.
But it don't matter because Russell Wilson will somehow fucking Harry Houdini find a way to keep it
as long as he doesn't
close.
throw the ball on the 2-yard line.
I was going to say it won't matter because Pete Carroll will throw the ball on the 2-yard line in the Super Bowl even if they get there, and fucking Patriots will win another one this year.
And just real quick, I wanted to say Chris Carson is 4th in the league in rushing right now.
That's insane.
He's been ridiculous. The last few games I've watched with him, he's just he's oddly beast modish.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to. Oh, go on, Candy.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to try to see if I can find just the clip of the video of the coin toss with Gino. I literally hear it both ways. When I listen to it and I say, okay, he said heads.
I can pull it up right now.
I can hear. Well, see if you can play it through your audio there. And
he said tails.
I hear him say tails. I hear him say heads.
I heard him say hails.
That's not.
I couldn't
Correct.
hear the T.
All right. Well, we're just kind of flying from the hip here. Let me know how this sounds. I'm just going to play it into my mic.
Okay.
I have the video on Twitter.
Your call is heads.
How's that
Rewind.
sound?
You're gonna have to rewind it, but
Well, hang on. It'll start over.
Your call is heads. Smith makes the call. It is a head. You won the toss. You want the ball. Call. Your call is heads.
I heard tail.
Makes the call. It is a head. You won the toss.
Let it go a couple more times.
Call. Your call is heads.
I heard
I
hail.
heard heads.
It is a head. You won the toss. You want the ball. Call. Your call is heads. Smith makes the call.
See, I hear it both ways.
It's still tails to me. I mean,
it's tails every time.
I agree with Andy. Sometimes I don't hear the T at the
I
beginning, but
don't hear the T.
well, regardless of the T or the H, it's ales at the end that I hear.
The only thing I would say is if he didn't say heads, why would Richard Sherman not kind of freak out?
Maybe what he said was
can we-
heads never fails.
It's tails never fails, and he did call tails. Can we laugh about how that was the biggest moment of Geno Smith's career?
Incorrectly
brought
calling
him
the
the
coin toss,
most-
but getting called
most
wrong.
publicity he's ever
Hey.
had.
Start from Eli Manning was the biggest point in his career, that one game or whatever it
That
was.
is true, yeah. But no, it just made me laugh because, again, I'm scrolling Twitter and it's like all these Seahawk fans are like, Geno Smith strolled out there, cold-heartedly called that toss, walked back to the sideline. We got this game. It's over.
It doesn't make sense why you're sending Geno out there to do the coin toss anyway.
Why is he the team? Why is he a captain?
Yeah.
Everybody else is probably like, fuck it, just go, man. Figure it out.
They're like,
They're all gassed on the sidelines, and he's been standing over there holding a clipboard. They're like, "Hey, go call the coin toss."
I was going to say, like,
Pete Carroll's like, "Hey, just mispronounce it a little bit. You'll get it either way."
is he like the Make-A-Wish kid on the team where he just gets sent out to do the coin toss?
Yeah.
Like, every time.
This week we're gonna let you practice.
Maybe if you're lucky, I'll let you throw a ball after practice is over.
He was like calling his mom before he went out there to be like, oh, look at the team.
It's my moment. It's my moment.
He was in that locker room with himself. You know he's been saving a bottle of champagne in the corner.
Yeah, I got it, bro. I got it.
Oh, poor Geno Smith.
But yeah, it's really odd. Like I said, I personally can hear it both ways. If I have it in my head that he said heads, I can hear heads. If I have it in my head he said tails,
So you're a little
I hear
bi.
tails.
I think he leans more one way than the other.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
I can take a guess.
Yeah, he leans more towards the men.
All the Rage Sports podcast is a LGBTQ friendly podcast. Just putting that out.
We are.
Yeah.
Shout out Carly.
How you doing, Carly? Yeah, she listens.
Although I'm with Dave Chappelle, the T's don't like me.
I see what you said there.
I haven't watched that yet.
Can't help it.
Yeah, so
Stop making fun of him.
It is a very, very odd ending to the game. It didn't seem to affect the game at all, really. But because it literally went down to the last little.
Yeah,
bit of
it didn't matter who had the ball. They were just passing it back and forth and punting. And I thought that was. They showed the stat. It was. I wish I could remember. It was 1970 something was the last time. I think a Monday night game ended in a tie. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching them just like, back and forth, back and forth. I was like, this is going to end. Like, I'm going to stay up, watch this whole thing for fucking nothing.
Well, okay, let's move on a little bit. Everybody's harping and praising and freaking out about Lamar Jackson. He got his 16th start this week. And they're all just going bonkers on how fantastic he is. So I found a few stats of comparable quarterbacks. So somebody posted like a stat line, and it was like he has a higher QB rating than Tom Brady did in his first 16 starts.
God,
It
what's
has,
on a song?
and he also has more rushing yards than LaDainian Tomlinson did in his first 16 starts, and he has more touchdowns than Peyton Manning did. Like it's dumb. They're doing the stat thing where they pull what they want to make it look good.
Well,
But it's every social media team has to have like a picture or something to fill, so they constantly have to pull these, and the stats just get more and more useless.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is completely overrated as a quarterback. I've said it all year. I'll continue saying it. I'm not going to say any more on it. I'm going to actually go ahead and just mute my mic and look at my TV while you guys continue to talk about it, because I'm done talking about it.
All
I
over
love
that
it.
button. All
Well,
over that button.
I looked up his stats for the 16 games. It's like 3,100 yards, 20 TDs, 8 interceptions. I think it's like 63% completion percentage and like a 94 QB rating, I think, which is really good. They're all pretty good. And then his record's 13-3, which is the best out of a lot of them. Besides, I think Ben had the 15-1. But I looked, and nobody's talking about his passing yards. He's got almost, like, just barely over 3,000 yards in 16 starts, which is not a good average.
No.
It's like 190.
Okay, I found the tweet. I finally found it because the tweet I found the original one that started all this. Here we go. First 16 career starts, wins. Lamar Jackson 13, Mahomes 12. Rushing yards. Lamar Jackson 1,258, LaDainian Tomlinson 1,236. Passer rating, Lamar Jackson 94.4, Tom Brady 90.1. Yards per attempt, Lamar 7.6, Aaron Rodgers 7.5. Completion percentage 63%, and then they've compared him to Drew Brees at 61. But I love this guy. I follow him on Twitter, and he always does this when they come out and they do this 16 games things. Lamar wins. Mike Tomczak, 14. Lamar Jackson, 13. Rushing yards. Alfred Morris had 1,600 yards through his first 16 games. Lamar Jackson has 1,200. Passer rating. Rob Johnson posted a 100.8 passer rating. Lamar Jackson at 94.4. Yards per attempt. I love this. An Eric Hipple reference. He had 7.7 yards per attempt. Lamar at 7.6. And the completion percentage, my favorite quarterback reference on this one, Elvis Gerback at 64%. And Lamar Jackson at 63%. So these 16-game splits they do,
they're
it's a cool
stupid.
thing. I do agree. Like the one thing I did think was cool that he had more yards than LT. I thought was pretty cool. But that was
neat.
the one. That was the one thing. Other than that, you're just throwing him against that. And Tom Brady, his rating was bad because he had a fumble that they didn't count in New England when they played the Raiders. But we ain't gonna get into it.
But that's the dumb shit they were doing to make
you can
Jackson
hit the button
look like godsend. He's a highlight reel. He can rush, and they were talking like, oh, the Ravens line up with 3 Heisman winners in the backfield, and check out this RPO play. They had Griffin III, Lamar, and Mark Ingram.
The Bionic Man.
I think that's a pretty sick formation. I'm not gonna lie.
It is a sick formation.
Like I love,
but I'm saying
RG3.
Just the way they're all like just gobbling on his balls right now. Like, I don't get it. He's not a good passer. He hasn't really proved that he can be a passer. The rushing quarterback lasts 2 to 3 years on average, and then that person, if they don't learn to pocket pass, they either get injured or they just fizzle out in games where they need to pass when people start to stop it. Yeah. Vince Young. Michael Vick even had that problem until he was able to stay in a pocket.
Terrell Pryor, Tyrod Taylor, Colin Kaepernick. We can go down through the list. I mean, but it's one of those things where he's going. I believe that he's good enough right now, but as soon as he gets to the playoffs, somebody's going to figure him out. I don't know when.
I've said that every time.
Going to hit him. And
I don't even think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be they're just going to get exposed as far as the game plan. But as far as right now, I mean, you can't fucking stop the kid because he's like everybody got on him about his passing, and he's passing just well enough to get him by. I mean, he's not spectacular, but I mean, 63% completion
Pretty
percentage
good for
isn't
a running.
anything to balk at in the NFL. No, that's not bad.
The
That's about
problem
middle of the
also
road.
is they're not talking just this year. They're talking, I think he started 6 games last year. So they're talking at the end of the season when the Ravens switched from Flacco to Lamar, and nobody knew anything about Lamar. Nobody had tape on him. Nobody had anything. And they were in a lot of situations. Like, they didn't make the playoffs, did they? Or did they win the division or did the Steelers? I want to say the Steelers did, but I can't remember.
No, the Steelers did not win the division.
Okay, so it was the Ravens that won the division, and they lost in the first round.
Because they had, or somebody had to beat them. Remember? Yeah, the Browns.
That's
had to
right.
beat the Ravens.
That's right. Okay, you're right. And they were vying for a playoff spot. So yeah, he was doing crazy shit. But I just don't. It doesn't. I don't know. It's just a horrible comparison. I hate it.
I hope he develops in the pocket because if he does, he's unbeatable.
He can be scary.
He's the unbreakable cheat code. But it's one of those things. I really like him. He had a really good week, but nobody's remembering that he played the Cincinnati Bengals.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that because that's what I was going to bring up next. Everybody's talking about his game this week and how amazing it was.
Division
He's
3.
facing the 0-8
JV.
or 9 or whatever Bengals, who just set Andy Dalton. Which, by the way, that brings me to my other point. Kevin,
Segue.
I can come back now?
Come back.
All right.
That brings me into my other point.
Your another
Andy
point.
My other point.
My
Andy Dalton, I don't know if he tweeted or he did it in an interview, but he said that after his benching, they told him we need to think about the draft. And my sister brought this up in our group chat, like the league really needs to do something about this deliberate tanking. And I started to think about it. There's no way to police that. There's no way they can stop a team from tanking a season.
There's no way for them.
And I wouldn't want them to. And you know why?
Exactly.
Because no Minka. If you're not allowed to tank.
That's true.
Bias button.
Defense player of the year. That's all I'm saying.
Bias button. Real quick, you guys can move on real fast. I'm not going to lie. I have to piss like a racehorse, but the Steelers and Ravens do play each other week 17. So
yeah, that's also going to be a crazy
another one that could be for the division and playoff seeding.
Yes. But yeah, so I started thinking about it. There isn't a way to police it because you can't say, oh, you unpurposely lost. You unpurposely played bad. Because you can't judge.
Well, first off, you wouldn't say that because that's not how you properly say it. It's not on purposely. It's just purposely.
Shut the fuck up with my goddamn grammar. No one gives a fucking shit. They know what I'm saying.
But it gets us that moment right there, and that's what I'm looking for.
Fuck off.
All the rage.
Fuck all of you. So they purposely are playing bad. No one can prove that because you can't, that's a judgment on a player's talent. Okay, they went out and had a bad game. You can't say that they're tanking because they've had bad games or they've had bad coaching or they haven't caught that ball when it's thrown to them. It's going to happen. It's going to happen every year.
Well, and a lot of people are
taking, change it.
He might not have been meaning what people are thinking either when he said that. They need to look to the draft. What did they do in the last draft? They drafted Finley. So they need to get this kid out there. They need to get him reps on a football field to figure out whether they drafted a quarterback because they're done with Andy Dalton, whether they drafted a quarterback that they're going to move forward with, or if they need to go ahead and get that next quarterback in this year's draft.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Their season's over, so they're trying to figure out who's going to be here next year.
Well,
Andy Dalton's
signing Dalton's ticket out?
Yeah, Dalton's gone.
He's gone. Over. He may as well just not even show up to a game the rest of the year.
Andy Dalton's going to be making a trip to New England and getting himself a Super Bowl ring after this year.
I personally think
him or Cam Newton, one of the two.
No, I was going to say Matt Nagy will probably, his dumbass will trade for him. You watch.
What were you saying, Andy?
I forget.
You personally think?
Don't make me think. I was reading an article on Bleacher Report about like tanking and all that stuff, and like the only way that you could like semi-half-ass prevent that is you have like a certain amount of players that have to make a certain amount of money or over. Because like look at the Dolphins. They trade away like all their top guys. Like they have like fucking
Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Drake, Minka Fitzpatrick,
Kenny Stills.
Devontae Parker's the only player on their team that's making over like say $8 million a year or whatever.
But they do that. They say you have to spend a certain amount of your cap every year. It's like 85%.
Make it player oriented because then you would have to invest that much money in this player. So if you're not going to fucking invest $8 million in the fucking,
I see what you're saying, and I feel like that is a really, really slippery slope. Because if they start saying like you have to spend this much in this category, in this position. Like that's going to be dangerous to alienate, like take your cap and break it down per position. Like there's going to be a lot of players.
No, I'm not saying per position.
Yeah,
per
I got
position, you. But I mean just as far as like you have to have this many people on your team have to make this amount of money. Like just
that is dangerous. I get why it would work. Because then you would have to have some talent on your team and not have 80 million in cap space or something.
Yeah.
But that's dangerous to be traveling down that avenue.
I'm going to take a completely different approach from this on you guys. And I'm okay with tanking because as an Oakland Raider fan, I understand
I'm okay with tanking.
It's sometimes necessary. But here's the thing. I don't like it as far as a competition standpoint because there are just certain games where like the Dolphins, other than the last 2 weeks, that everybody knows they're going to be a doormat. You can't. It's like stealing from the poor. What do you take away from them? What you can't. If you penalize them in cap space, that prevents them going out and signing key free agents that would make them competitive the next year. You take draft picks away from it. Does the same thing. You can't. Do you tax penalties? Like nothing really works. It's like it is literally it's drawing blood from a stone. It's these teams suck. Personally, at this point, I would rather Zach Taylor come out and just put his hand right down on the fucking podium and be like, we suck. We're going to play everybody. We'll see what happens. And if we get the first overall pick, whatever. I would rather them just be forward and honest. Just be like, hey, we don't really give a fuck at this point. We're going to play some guys that we think might be, diamonds in the rough, some, late round draft picks. But other than that, we're not really going to probably aim to win any games because we fucking blow. But just be honest about it.
Yeah. I think that's another thing, too. With the secrets behind everything, like everybody has to be like, oh, no, we're not tanking. No, don't pay attention to us over here. We're not.
Well, they don't want you to ruin the integrity of the NFL.
Yeah, and
by
I feel
admitting
like
the fact that you're tanking.
The secrecy behind it is kind of like the reason why it seems so taboo about tanking.
Everybody get your bias buttons out because all four of us, I know, all of us are biased on this one. As we are Pittsburgh natives, the Penguins basically tanked for Sidney Crosby.
Yes.
And look what that did for us. It happens in every single major sport, and there is just no way. There's no way to stop it.
Unless you're the Pirates, then you just tank every year and then trade away all your good players for no fucking.
Well, the problem is that's when your owner is going to take.
Cole's probably going to win a Cy Young this year.
Yeah.
Well, Verlander got it tonight. Well, sorry, Kate Upton's husband won Cy Young for the AL tonight.
Oh, did
he? Yeah. So
I knew it was being announced today. So
fucking Garrett Cole should have gotten the Cy Young, but we're not a baseball podcast.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
No.
But yeah, that's the kind of shit. Like, it made me think about it. Like, is there physically a way? And if anybody out there listening has a way that you think would work, post a comment. Post a comment on our page. We'd love to hear from people because we never hear from anybody. So we want to hear from you.
It's probably because we suck.
Well, that too. We're just tanking for podcasts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're tanking for views.
Tanking for views.
somebody will
This
eventually
is
come
always
back.
wrong, always wrong podcast is what this is. All right, so let's
Close.
move on. And this is another guy I wanted to kind of compare to Lamar Jackson, and that's Colin Kaepernick. When I looked at his stats, they were pretty well on par with one another. Colin Kaepernick was 11-5. He had about 400 yards passing more, one less touchdown, one more interception. His QB rating was 90.3 or something, and then his completion percentage was a little lower at 59. So, on that note, Colin Kaepernick has now got a tryout for all 32 teams set up by the NFL in Atlanta this Saturday. I think there was 2 teams that said they were going. I don't know if they've confirmed any, but I think they talked to like Miami, and Miami said that they would have a representative there.
3 teams have committed to going.
3.
Every
Okay.
team will be. They won't necessarily have to have a representative because they are going to be videotaping, documenting everything, and sending it off to all 32 teams.
So, what is your guys' take on this? Is this
I'm sick of
a
talking about it.
publicity stunt to get over that shit with the people, like the NFL not including him in anything, and then
The NFL's been trying to move past this since it started to begin with.
Yeah.
And they went and did all this shit in the offseason with Rock Nation, bringing in Jay-Z to try and improve their public standing. And it's still being talked about. So this is their move, because it's not just Colin Kaepernick's going to have a workout and send off shit to people. The NFL is putting this on. The NFL is the one organizing all this.
Yeah.
It's their way to try and finally move past all of it and be done with the topic. If he gets on a team, that'll end the talk about all of that until they go, well, are you going to kneel or are you going to stand for the first game he's at? If he doesn't make it, nobody picks him up, then it'll be, okay, he got his tryout. Nobody wanted him.
We've done everything
We're
we
moving
can.
Yeah, he's 33 years old. I mean, he hasn't played in 3 years. I mean, like, there's more viable options out there at this point. I mean,
Wrong.
Wrong. The New York
Wrong.
Jets started Luke Falk.
wrong?
There's a lot.
There were people signing AFL quarterbacks to their third string and their practice squads last year. I'm not saying the guy has to
The
come
Steelers
back and
have
he should
Paxton Lynch on their team.
be exactly. I'm not saying the guy should come back and get a starting job, but he led a team to a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you guys know me. I've gone on this tangent before, but I am the Second Amendment Republican voting one and all of us. I'm going to shock every single one of you. The only thing he did wrong was exercise his First Amendment rights, which we all have as Americans. And there are still guys that beat their children, beat their wives, and do all this other bullshit. And they're allowed in the league, and they're allowed to run roughshod and do whatever the fuck they want. All Kaepernick did was take a knee because, and whether you agree with his stance or not, he still has that right to come out and say, you know, and this is, I have a cousin who's a cop,
Preach.
and he was coming out originally against police brutality. And I think you should be able to look, I'm not going to go on this for forever, but you should be able to compartmentalize and be able to look at each case specifically. And the ones he was talking about, he had a reason to protest. And he brought it to everybody's attention. But of course, all the fucking dumbass inbreds are like, oh, he's disrespecting the flag and everything like that. Everybody who served and everybody who has a fucking brain in their head will tell you he did what was right, and they will support him on that because he stood up for what he believed in. And if Tyreek Hill's allowed to play another snap in the NFL, Colin Kaepernick should at least be able to hold a clipboard somewhere.
The only quick addendum that I'll add to the whole Colin Kaepernick saga is not only was he not trying to disrespect troops, he got a tweet from an actual troop when he originally started his protest, which was sitting on the bench. And the troop told him that that was disrespectful. He met with the man. He was a former Marine. And he said, well, what would you... And he agreed with everything Kaepernick was saying. And Cap said, what would you want me to do besides sitting? And that man was the one who told him to kneel. He said, we kneel beside a fallen brother's grave. We kneel when we pray. Kneeling is more respectful than sitting on the bench.
And as far as all that goes, my only problem with that, and here's my thing, I don't agree with kneeling for the anthem, and here's why. Not for the political landscape and what's happening in the world today, for the vets of World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the ones that have fallen before that create the country that allows you to have that free speech. But he is still allowed that right, and he should have a job in the NFL.
I think you should
well said.
Coaching. I mean, at this point, come on.
The guy, but you got to think, the guy was a legitimate dual threat quarterback, and he has sat for 3 years.
Like I said, he hasn't
taken any hits.
Lamar Jackson does.
He hasn't taken any hits. Yards. He's got fresh legs. Why the fuck not at this point?
And
the guy's done his time.
For most rushing yards by a quarterback in a game.
The gun-owning Republican who's drinking a Bush now.
Bush drinking, America loving. I'm Toby Keith listening, gun shooting, gun slinging.
Okay, fuck you. I don't listen to Toby Keith. I don't listen to country. Fuck you.
Fuck
but
Toby
by
Keith.
God, if I'm sitting here and if I can, and I've honestly, this is an opinion I've had for a couple of years now. If you can sign AFL scrubs and all these other bums, Kaepernick should be making a couple million a year being a backup. And
I would not disagree with that.
Against the New York Jets.
Nick Foles has proved how valuable, he could go somewhere. He could go somewhere. He could go to a Baltimore or a contender, get signed, and have somebody go down. And you know what? You know how many people would be so pissed at that? I'd be sitting back and going,
yep.
I'd be clapping for the guy because he did his time and he deserves it.
It was sort of like how Michael Vick did. It was a different thing. It was a very illegal practice. He made up for a lot of it in the end. But when he came back in the league, so many people fucking freaked out.
What Michael Vick did was something that made him a despicable fucking person.
Yes.
Kaepernick was trying to bring awareness to a cause.
Yes, thank you.
That's not even close.
And that was the point I was bringing up. If Vic was allowed to play after, and
why not Kaepernick?
I don't believe a lot in this world, but if you hit women, you hit children, you hit dogs, or any animal, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The fact that they let Vic back in the league, put Cat back in.
And here's bottom line. Yeah. Here's bottom line. Take away what Mike Vick did, take away what Tyreek did, take away what Kaepernick did. Colin Kaepernick, could you honestly say he's worse than Luke Falk?
No.
Luke
Even
Falk
3 years out
this year. Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that's
what I wanted to talk about.
Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
I just wanted to talk about price tag because whenever he first got reinstated, he was looking for like $8 million a year to be a backup quarterback, or 12.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be a backup. He wanted to be a starter where he went.
Yeah. I think that did slow him down because I think people would have signed him if they could have signed him.
Well, that was what it was before the season started. And then as the season progressed, I'd go somewhere and be a backup. I'd go for less money, blah, blah. But yeah, he started out wanting $12 million in a starting job.
Well, and to kind of continue on the point, what was it? He was the Ravens almost signed him, but he said something. No, the Broncos and the Ravens almost had him, but it was something he specifically tweeted or his girlfriend tweeted or something about the Ravens organization or something. And then they were ready to sign him and give him a job.
Yeah.
And then
it was the
like,
Seahawks and the Ravens.
Yeah,
it was the Seahawks and the Ravens. Yeah. The Seahawks had a tryout schedule with him. They canceled it because of backlash they received. The Ravens were in talks with him, but never even actually met him or had a tryout. And that's at the point then when it was pretty much they just weren't going to do it. The girlfriend then tweeted out her shit.
I never heard about Panthers.
No, Panthers wasn't a thing. It was just the Seahawks, because I've been listening to this for the last 2 days on Everything Sports Radio, and they were talking about the two teams. It was just those two teams were the only ones that really actually tried to do anything.
Yeah.
Were the Seahawks and the Ravens.
Okay.
Other teams thought that
Andy
maybe they'd
looks
try
so
to bring him in.
frustrated right now. He's like, this is bullshit.
Everybody was just screaming.
He's just sitting. He's looking at me like the other Republican, 2A guy, and I'm just saying all these things that are completely. He's disagreeing with me, and he's like, "How dare you?"
In Trump's America, you'd say this? You son of a bitch!
Damn you son bitch! All right, moving on.
Well, guys, it's time to get into some of things. Now, we've started this the last few weeks. We're going to start doing power rankings. We passed that halfway point, and the APP power rankings comes out every week. So we're going to do a little bit of our power rankings.
Do I have to have mine?
No, I got it right here, dude.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
it would help if you had yours.
Yeah, it would definitely help. But I'll say who you got. So we'll start. We're going to start from the top and work our way down on this one.
Start with me or Jay, since Andy's still looking for his.
Yes. So I now that the bye week happened for the Patriots, they didn't lose this week, and the Niners did. I have the Patriots at number 1. Jace, who do you have at number 1?
I put, after the Niners lost Monday night to the Seahawks, the Patriots are number 1 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And Kevin, what do you got?
I still have the 49ers, and the reason being, when I think of a top 15 power ranking, it's teams head to head. So at number 1,
I agree.
Do I think the 49ers would beat the Patriots? Yes, I still do.
Okay. Andy, I believe you had the 49ers as well.
I have the 49ers as well. Just, kind of like barring that injury thing, like I still think they're the more solid team.
Yeah. Now, I have them at second, and I agree with you. I think that if they went head-to-head, that was going to be one hell of a game. I feel like the Patriots will still find a way because of the fucking Patriots. But that's why I have them right at second. The Patriots just passed them because they didn't lose this week.
Yeah, the Niners are my number 2 as well. That would, I don't want to see it, but that would be a great Super Bowl just because, 2 top defenses, it would be a duel of Jimmy G versus Tom Brady. Yeah, it would be
the understudy versus the master.
It would be a 13-7 just run the ball brawl.
Yep.
Andy or Kevin, you had the Patriots at 2 as well?
Yep, I moved the Patriots up to 2 this week. Saints went and put some bad tape out there for Bill Belichick to dissect, so I would have to put the Patriots above them.
And Andy, I believe you're the one that has ranked the Ravens the highest at number 2 here.
I actually have the Ravens here just based on, they're rolling
smoking
right
some
now.
crack.
Smoking crack. They just beat all your guys' number 2, but they're rolling right now. Lamar Jackson, like Jace just said a little bit ago, he's playing fucking great football. He's getting shit done, and
overrated.
Their defense is showing up sometimes, but Lamar Jackson's hard to stop.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Now I actually have the Seahawks at number 3. Because Kevin hates them so very much, I had to put them at number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also my number 3.
Yeah, they're also Jace's. I just feel like they don't win pretty. They don't have blowout games. They've only had 1 this year. Everything's been 1 possession ever since then. But they are the ones that keep coming out on top. So I have to put them up there.
It's hard to argue with it. I'm to the point where if I'm an NFL coach, I need a quarterback for 1 drive, 1 possession, go down and give me a touchdown. I'm taking Russell Wilson.
Wilson, yep.
That's why they're ahead, because those 1 possession games, he lines them up and goes, okay, boys, here's what we're going to do. And then they go down and win the damn thing. Shut up. You don't get to talk about Russell Wilson.
I'd have to go with Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy.
All right.
I hadn't heard that said yet tonight, so I had to say it.
Kevin, I believe you have the Saints at 3. Is that right?
Yeah, I had the Saints at 3. I'm just hoping that this last game was an anomaly. It is a Saints Falcons game. The Falcons are always going to try to play them a little bit tougher. That's for the last 15 years been one of the bigger rivalries in football.
Yeah.
So I keep them there.
Yeah. Andy, you have Patriots at 3.
Yeah, I had the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots and Ravens on my list. I mean, they could flip-flop, you know what I mean? They're really close.
The fact that you think Bill Belichick wouldn't sit back and look at Lamar Jackson on tape and just be going like this in his film room is comical.
Get you, my pretty.
Yeah.
He's going to be in there like Emperor Palpatine. Like,
well, first off, what is, I mean, he was technically, I'd still kind of consider him a rookie this year.
The movie's coming out. I'm getting ready.
I'd still kind of consider Lamar a rookie this year, and we know how Belichick has done against rookie quarterbacks.
I agree with that.
For Lamar to do what he did to him, that is really pissing. Like, Bill Belichick's still pissed off right now. Yeah. And so, second time around, it's going to be a bad day for Lamar.
Yeah, I have the Ravens at 4, and the only reason I have them up that high is because they beat one of the two, you know, the final undefeated teams, beating the Patriots. So I have them kind of above everybody else, even though they are 8-2, I believe. So yeah, I have them at 4. Jace, who do you got at 4?
I actually have the Green Bay Packers at number 4.
Okay.
And I have a couple of simple reasons for you. Preston Smith and Za'Darius Smith. I think that's how you say it. But
I think so.
When you bring in two guys at the end position on the defensive line and they're both immediately disruptors, it completely gives the rest of the defense. It doesn't matter if you've got Andy playing free safety. If the quarterback's got 2 seconds to get rid of the ball, I mean, hit the bias button, but a perfect example of this was Rivers against the Raiders on, when we played them this past week. If he didn't have time, he was, throwing it, making bad decisions. If you have a good pass rush and you also have Aaron Rodgers, and I will say, I had no faith in this backfield, but Aaron Jones is a fucking beast.
I've had him on. I wish I had him in our fantasy league because I have him in another one, and God, he's been killing it.
And I stayed away from him because that whole Ty Montgomery and them, and I'm drawing a blank. I never do this. Who's the other? Jamal Williams.
Yeah, Jamal Williams.
That whole 3-back thing at the end of the year, and
that's why
I don't even know if Ty Montgomery.
Well, and that's the funny part is because of Aaron Jones now. Jamal Williams has actually had better runs now when he does come in to spell him. Yep. He's actually doing pretty good well in relief.
Ty Montgomery even a Packer anymore?
No,
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, he got released, but I had no faith in that. But Aaron Jones has just been outstanding, and like Kevin said, when you have a third down back like Jamal Williams to come in, I was so wrong about this team. And
me too.
Aaron Rodgers. Have him in the.
He's still Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
Doesn't matter what game you put him in against what defense. Put him in the 2-minute drill, and you've got a chance.
In all of ours defense, we were all down a little on the Packers because we were up on the Bears at the beginning of the season.
We were,
and good God, were we wrong?
Yep.
Kevin, the wrong you podcast.
I also have the Green Bay Football Packers at number 4.
I fucking hate you.
And,
my man.
Because. I mean, one, their defense has been playing really good, but I still, Aaron Rodgers led teams are going to be in the top 5 no matter what.
He's pretty much.
Probably the most talented quarterback from A to B or from A to Z that we have in the NFL right now. When you combine every aspect of the game.
Yep.
And I think, with the running game being able to take pressure off of him for the first time in his career, and having a defense that can keep it so that he doesn't have to score 50 points a fucking game.
Right.
This is a team that's going to be dangerous whole season all the way into the playoffs.
How dare you disparage Amon Green like that?
Amon Green.
I said
Amon Green was the shit.
That was I don't know if that was like the Favre. That was when it was the transition period.
Yeah. I don't know. I said they haven't had a running game since Amon Green.
It's true, though.
I wasn't disparaging Amon Green. I was talking up Amon Green.
All right, we need to move on. Shut the fuck up. And
I will not stand for Amon Green slander.
Is the Seahawks.
It is the Seahawks, and that's, I mean, all these teams right now where it could be switched around.
They're all
I mean, there's reasons for all of them, but
yeah.
I took the Seahawks here. Seattle football Seahawks.
My fifth is the Saints. Saints had a really bad week, but it was against a division rival. I don't mark those games up very judgy because division rivals always play rough. Even if they're 0-9, they are still going to play their hearts out in those games. So I'm not going to knock the Saints too bad, but they do drop to 5 on my list. Jace, who do you have at 5?
I'll do my 5 and 6 real quick, just because you have the Saints there. I have the Ravens at 5 and the Saints at 6, and I'll go over the Saints real fast. I think it was when they rushed Breeze back from that thumb injury, when they made him play against the Cardinals before the bye. I honestly expected that to be a bad game, but he came out, played well. Right. He was going to have one bad game after this, and I think that's what we saw. So they don't really take a big hit. The Ravens, it's one of those things. It's almost like Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't make sense, but they're winning.
Yeah.
And until they stop winning, you really can't take anything away from them. And at this point, just Lamar Jackson's legs alone are enough of a threat to make any team in the AFC a threat or a liability. So I'm going to put the Ravens at 5, Saints at 6.
I believe you had Ravens as well at 5.
I have the Ravens at 5, and to go along with the Seahawks and the Ravens talk here, they shouldn't win, but they are winning. Tim Tebow shouldn't have won, and he did win too. So
that's going to be your defense every single time.
Yeah,
I would just like to say I loved every minute of watching Demaryius Thomas run for the end.
Moving on, Danny, who do you have at 5th?
Terrell Pryor,
the Kansas City football
93
Chiefs.
Yards.
I have them actually ranked a lot higher than all of you guys.
Yeah, you do.
I think they're going to start playing pissed off, and I think Pat Mahomes is just going to fucking take off.
As opposed to getting
Defense
pissed
is still
on.
a liability on there.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Pat Mahomes, he's a superstar. He's going to get shit done.
At 6, I have the Packers. For all the reasons we mentioned, Aaron Jones, that defense, everything's going really well for them. Jace, you mentioned your 6 is the Saints. Kevin, who did you have at 6?
I have the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're really taking even for more strides towards the positive. Kirk Cousins is playing at a much higher level than he started the year out, and they're just a team that's continuing to rise up.
Now, I'm going to mention this too while we're going through here. APP football rankings right now have Ravens at 1, New England, San Francisco, Seahawks at 4, Green Bay at 5, New Orleans dropped 4 spots to 6, and the Vikings are at 7. So we're all relatively around there. It's kind of flipping back and forth. So, and then who do you have at 6 there, Andy? I think it's
the Saints. I mean, like Jay said, they were due for a bad game. They have a bad game every year, but I mean, they didn't take a huge hit.
Well, and it's also in divisional games. So
yeah.
Everybody. I mean, you guys are due for one clunker a year against the Browns, so you know all about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. I never expect us to go more than 1-1 against the Ravens. That's how I always feel. Number 7, I have the Texans. I think that they had their bye week, obviously, this week. So I don't think they moved on my list, but they are still a crazy team with Watson back there, and that defense is still performing really well without JJ. So I still have them at 7 here. Jace?
You fucker. Once again, I'm going to bundle up my 2 because I actually had the Vikings ahead of the Texans. But
so you have the Vikings at 7.
Yes, the Vikings are 7. The Texans are 8.
Put them down.
Okay, but yeah. And I really want to put the Texans ahead of the Vikings, but without J.J. Watt, you can't rely on that defense. Trading Jadeveon Clowney was the stupidest fucking thing they could have done. I know we went on a lot about that Monday night game, but he was a force. Like, he was all over the field, and they gave him away for fucking pennies. But The Texans have played great. I wish Deshaun Watson played for the Vikings. If he did, they'd be a Super Bowl contender. But
Yep.
I've got the Texans at 8, and then the Vikings at 7, just due to the fact, pretty much, like I said, if they had anybody but Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Kirk Rudolph, Jesus Christ, Kyle Rudolph, and Irv Smith, they've got weapons all over the place. They just had to, of course, get the most incompetent fucking quarterback they possibly could. Fuck Kirk Cousins.
False. They don't have Mr. Trubisky or Jameis Winston.
Kevin, I believe you had the Seahawks at 7. Is that right? He had.
I have the Sea Chickens. Sea Chickens at 7. Again, I think all things equal in the San Francisco-Seattle game, everybody uninjured, Seattle loses that game. And when they play against a complete team, that's what's going to happen when it gets time for the playoffs. I don't think they'll go past one of the top echelon teams.
Yeah. And then at 7, Andy, you had the Vikings as well.
Yes, I did. And I saw a chart earlier, and there was 5 teams listed in the elite team. The Vikings were one of them.
Wow.
Like prolific Super Bowl contenders. The Vikings was one of the 5 teams. So, I mean, somebody's high on them other than me, but
yeah, that's
I think somebody other than you is just high.
Yeah. At 8, I had the Chiefs. I feel like that they, like I spoke earlier when Mahomes went down, they've revealed their weaknesses because they had the Mahomes Band-Aid over them. And now that he's back, people know these weaknesses a little better. The secondary's bad. They just don't pass the rusher as well. Like, there's a lot of things that are problems there. So Mahomes is the Band-Aid. I think they're still going to do well, but I'm starting to think that maybe the Raiders are going to win that division. Yep, there you go, Jason.
Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you. Oh, I'm having a heart attack. He said it. Next, if Andy says it, I'll really fall over dead.
Yes. And at 8, you had the Texans, Jace, over there, and Kayvon Land, a team that APP doesn't even have in the top 15.
Well, and the reason they're dropping them out of the top 15 is the Indianapolis Colts, and it's because Brissett's not in there. The way I'm doing it is I'm considering it was still, I think Brissett's going to be back here soon, and that team is still one of the better teams in football, I think, when you have Jacoby Brissett in the game. Or even if you put in Chad Swag Kelly instead of Brian Hoyer.
You're the only one that has them on the list. I don't, Jace doesn't, Andy doesn't. And APP has them ranked at 17.
Well, and again, Jacoby Brissett comes in, I bet you that APP ranking changes
absolutely
right off the bat. So that's why I'm basing it. What I'm basing it off of is a Brissett-led Colts team will still be one of the top teams.
Andy, at 8, I believe you had the Packers, who APP has at 5.
Yeah.
And you had the Packers at 8.
I'm just not as big on them as everybody else is. I mean, Aaron Jones is running for his life, but I don't know. I have a weird vibe about the Packers this year. They're not.
It was surprising that their defense did as well, and then early on their offense wasn't doing well. And there was a lot of really squint eyes kind of looking at them. So I understand. I absolutely understand that.
Maybe next week that'll change, but
yeah. At 9, I have the Vikings for all the reasons we mentioned. Cousins is a fucking bipolar quarterback. One game he'll be like, holy shit, he's all pro, and the next game he'll be like, how is he starting? So it's I can't stand it, but yeah, he's a bipolar quarterback. Jace, who'd you have at 9?
I have the Carolina Panthers at 9, and I truly believe I am slowly becoming a Kyle Allen truther. There are more and more reports circulating that Cam Newton is not going to be a Panther after this season. Mm-hmm. I think the Panthers are taking the approach of we're going to take the young quarterback, pay him a little bit of money, and pay the rest of the roster. McCaffrey's on fire. Their defense is playing above average. And it's one of those things where when you play, let me look real quick. Who's their fucking division? Like when you play against, you've got 2
Saints,
games
Bucks,
against
Falcons.
you have 2 games every year against the Buccaneers and Falcons. So I'm going to put them just below the Saints. I'm going to put them, what are we on, 9? Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, I believe you have the Raiders in there.
I
which is
have
the
the
highest
Oakland
rank on
Football
them.
Raiders.
Talk about me.
APP has the Raiders at 16 right now. Still not in their top 15.
I think the Chiefs have taken a major downturn. Just the defense not playing up to snuff. Mahomes. I predicted Mahomes was going to come back down to earth in his second year. I was wrong. It took a year and a half for him to get there, and
It's the Madden
he's starting to come down a little bit. The defense isn't playing all that well. McCoy really they went away from LaShawn McCoy, who was a big part of their offense in the early part of the year, and I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it.
Scratched him.
Yeah, he was a healthy scratch this last week.
Damian Williams is their starting running back.
But anyways, back to the Oakland Raiders. Because of that, I think the Raiders have a legitimate shot now to take over this division and be the AFC West representative. And they have been playing some really solid football. They had been playing pretty well on offense with Josh Jacobs running all over everybody. Derek Carr making good decisions with the football and like early in the year. And then the defense has really stepped it up.
The running game has changed everything in Oakland. Now that they have a running game, it puts things in line for Gruden.
I would die for Josh Jacobs.
Number 9 for you, Andy, I believe is the Panthers. Is that right?
Yep. All of Jace's aforementioned reasons, and DJ Moore has been really consistent. I mean, all the receivers have been good. Decent.
Curtis Samuel.
I mean, Greg Olsen is doing some stuff. I mean, everybody's talking about him being the old head, but I mean, he's alive and still catching a couple balls here and there.
Yeah, right.
I think alive and still catching a couple balls only applies to Jason Witten.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the funny part is
than
Greg
him
Olsen's
being
going to
in
be the
the
next
booth.
Jason Witten.
Probably, yeah.
Greg Olsen's going to
right,
be the
Kevin.
next Jason Witten. He's already been doing work in a booth, but he is not a personality vacuum like Jason Witten. So
yeah. Oh. At number 10, I have the Panthers. Right now, APP has them ranked at 15. So at the bottom of their list, just 2 points from being 14 over the Rams for them. So the Panthers, I think we all think highly of them compared to Kevin. Kevin's the only one that actually had the mark down low. But I think we all think highly of him because I think we are all in love with Christian McCaffrey and what Kyle Allen's done there. And I can't disagree with it. But that's the reasons I have them at 10. Jace, I believe you have your Oakland Football Raiders, Vegas Football Raiders, whatever you want to call them.
Intermission Football Raiders, pretty much at this point. But and that's one of the big reasons I put them at 10. You heard the crowd, when we played the Chargers primetime game, the last primetime game in Oakland. They were raucous, and this team really feels like they want to go out and they want to. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders, but they want to at least put on a show for the Oakland at least. And the defense did not impress me the last couple of weeks. And I will say the Chargers did lose both their starting tackles in that game, which is why Rivers was constantly under pressure. But Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell are both. Crosby's been great all year. I've been critical of Farrell, but he's finally starting to come into his own. And like I've said, pass rush fixes everything. Eric Harris should have had 5 interceptions. Shout out to my guy. He was Division II, went to the CFL, was working in a potato chip factory and working for UPS, and then now he's in the NFL. And he had 3 picks including a pick 6 on Thursday Night Football. I think if the defense continues to grow, we will get better and better. But the one weakness is it's not even the Raiders. It's the Chiefs' run game and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Kevin, I believe that's who you had at 10 at Chiefs. And like I said, the APP had them right around there. They had them at 9.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs at 10, as I said before. They're starting to go down. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, they're doing a few things that are correctable. they might be able to turn it
They
around.
also had 2 injured tackles in that game.
But anyways, Chiefs can still recover and possibly right the ship, but
Kevin does make a point with, an injured Mahomes. I mean, you could say he's healthy, but he's not exactly 100% mobile, and you lose your 2 starting tackles. Does put a hamper on things.
Right. 10, Andy, I believe you had the Bills. Is that right?
I do have the Bills.
You have the highest rank for the Bills, but APP has them at 11. So,
Andy and the APP are smoking crack.
I think the Bills are
together.
Getting into that Seattle. I would love to smoke crack with somebody from the AP. I just want everybody in the AP watching this. But, yeah. Dude, could you imagine if that's how we got famous? Like, I smoked crack with this guy from the AP poll. Awesome.
You pulled a Rob Ford and were smoking crack on camera.
Yeah. Who's that guy from New Jersey? Smoking that shit. Chris Christie or whatever.
No, that was
Rob Ford.
That was Rob
Ford. He's American Toronto. He's the Canadian version of Chris Christie.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Okay. But anyhow, I think they're kind of like they've squeaked out some tight losses like against the Browns last week. But I mean, they're kind of like they're one of those Seahawks teams that are just kind of iron out wins. Like, I mean, nothing's pretty. Josh Allen isn't blown up, but
probably not going to make the Pro Bowl.
Well, I completely disagree with you because they are doing the opposite of a lot of others. They're trending down. Like they've started out playing their defense. Their defense was really good, and their defense has fallen off majorly over the last few weeks. And the offense isn't producing any more than it did at the beginning of the year. I think the Bills are going to be out of the top 15 by the end of the year.
I think so
out of the playoffs.
Circle the wagons.
At number 11, I have the Cowboys. I think they're still
for the trip
strong division. I think they could still win this division. The Eagles are kind of catching up to them, but I think the Cowboys still have a chance to win that division. So they're at 11 for me. Jace, I think you disagree.
I disagree vehemently, and I have the Philadelphia Eagles at 11.
Yeah.
Due to the fact I know their secondary is a concern, but you can't ever depend. The Giants are out of it. The Redskins suck. And you can't ever depend at this point in life with Jerry Jones. The Cowboys could have a world beater squad, but there's always going to be drama. There's always going to be something, and it's surrounding Dak and Zeke and these contracts they got to pay and everything else.
Yeah.
And and they have the Cowboys have a good defense. Don't get me wrong, but I place zero faith in them. So I'm going to I think you're going to see the Eagles are a team. If they were a stock, I think you want to buy in the Eagles now because they are going to be trending up the rest of the year.
Yeah. Kevin, I believe you have the Steelers at 11, which I believe is the highest rank of them. APP has them at 13, coming up 4 spots.
I'll press it once.
I'm biased because I'm only 2 spots ahead of the APP.
Once.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. They're doing the exact opposite of the Bills. Their defense has trended completely upwards. They are probably, at this point, I would say, the number 1 defense in the NFL week to week as far as turnovers and points scored. And I had the Baltimore Ravens defense in fantasy going up against Jesse this week, and he had the Steelers. The Ravens went against the Bengals. It should have been an easy win for me on defense. I beat Jesse by 1 point while they were playing against the St. Louis Rams team that was in a Super Bowl last year. They completely shut down the St. Louis Rams. They didn't completely shut down the Colts, but they did enough turnover-wise to beat the Colts. And Mason's doing enough to win games. Could be doing more if the receivers would help him out and actually catch the fucking ball.
They did talk about the Steelers having it was his best game. He got balls to receivers. They just dropped a lot.
Yeah, he was hitting them in the hands, and they were dropping the footballs. Moncrief left, but I think some of his bad juju is still in the building.
I see what you did there. Oh, you silly goose, you.
But yeah, I think going forward they're going to continue winning. They got 3 easy games coming up, and
Yeah, you could see a 8-4 squad by the end.
The rest of the schedule is winnable
mid-December.
up to week 17.
Yeah.
Third remaining strength of schedule, easiest is Pittsburgh Steelers. The 31st or the second easiest schedule, Oakland Raiders.
Yep. So yeah, the Steelers schedule is very front and heavy. Andy, I believe you had the Texans here.
Yeah, these guys are definitely trending up right now, but I don't know that defense.
They didn't lose this week, and that's the key.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Deshaun Watson's an animal, and I mean they have DeAndre Hopkins, so they're always in contention no matter what.
Kevin had them ranked lower at 13. You had them at 11. APP has them at 8.
That's right.
Yeah,
but I don't know what their strength of schedule for the rest of the year is like, but I think they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
By God, I'll tell you real quick. They have the 9th hardest schedule left. The remaining hard teams they have are the Patriots, Ravens, Colts. They have the Titans twice still, and then they play the Buccaneers and the Broncos.
Okay.
Those Titans games aren't going to be fucking.
Oh, shut the hell up about.
Oh, here we fucking go! Oh my God!
Ryan Tannehill is.
I'm buying you a Ryan Tannehill jersey.
Buy him a Marcus Mariota jersey. They're probably on sale.
Yeah.
Probably give.
I have the Steelers at 12. I think they're going to get in either at the 5th or 6th seed in the AFC, and I think the Raiders or Chiefs, depending on what happens, will be the other one in there. I think I have the Raiders ranked a little lower just because there's so many NFC teams that are going to pound about, but I think that both the Steelers and the Raiders are making the playoffs this year. Number 12, Jason, I believe you had the Chiefs for all those reasons we mentioned. Eagles for you, Kevin, and for all those reasons we mentioned.
Real quick, I think the Eagles win the division. The Cowboys, they're getting Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett out of the playoffs and out of contention.
I could see it.
Again.
And you guys are actually exactly what APP has, because Andy has the Eagles at 12 as well. APP has Eagles at 12. So I have the Eagles at 13. I have the Steelers and Eagles flip-flopped compared to APP. And then, Jace, what do you got at 13? You got the Bills?
Yes, I have the Bills, and it's one of those things. Their defense has shown flashes, but I don't have enough faith in Josh Allen. Yeah. I love their running back room. I'll just tell you that right now.
They have the best one.
Yeah, they do. But it's
Wendell Smallwood.
Do they have Wendell Smallwood?
No, he's a Washington Redskin. We've been over this. But damn, but like Andy said, another unconventional team. Josh Allen, as much as everybody raves about his arm, he loves to tuck it and run, and they're kind of a goofy fucking team. I don't want to put them in for a wild card spot because they play in the Patriots division and it's a stacked, field for that.
It's hard to let them say that they're going to be the wild card spot.
They're on the outside looking in, is what I was saying.
Kevin, you have the Texans there for the aforementioned reasons.
Inconsistency.
Yeah. And then, Andy, you have the Raiders at 13. They're currently outside looking in. APP has them ranked at 16. But I think that they are trending upward. I have the Bills at 14 just because of their record. I don't think they're going to be in this top 15 very much longer. Jace, Steelers at 14. They're actually in hold of the 6th wild card position right now because of the win over the Colts.
But Mason needs to prove more to me, and
exactly.
I will hand up. I said this defense was not going to be good, and in my defense, they weren't good until you traded for Minka. But he's added another dimension, and if the defense keeps playing better, I could see them being the 5th seed or even challenging the Ravens for the division.
There is, and my claims that him being my defensive player of the year pick is not out of sorts. There are people talking about it, and they say, Oh, what was the last safety to win it? 2010's Troy Polamalu. Just saying. Not comparing the two because they have two different styles, but he's doing really good. And then Kevin, you had the Panthers down at 14, which is a lot closer to what APP had at 15. And
Defense isn't that great.
Yep. Andy Steelers at 14 for all the reasons we mentioned. I had the Ravens at Raiders at 15. I have them one spot above. I actually don't have the Rams on my list, and they still have the Rams at 14, which I don't understand. Jace, you got the Cowboys at 15, which they are ranked at 10 in APP, but I can understand your thought process there.
Yeah, they'll shoot themselves in the foot no matter what. It doesn't matter.
Yes. Kevin, you have the Rams at 15. Bad loss. Offense looked horrible.
And going forward, they won't play as good a defense as going the rest of the season, so they could still have a good record and be in their wild card running.
Yep.
They play the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Still. Yeah, they do have a pretty
They
tough
play the
schedule
49ers and they play the Seahawks, who they almost and should have beaten.
It's true.
And then, Andy, you have the Cowboys at 15. To give you an idea, Kevin has the Colts on there that's not on the list. And I don't know who you have off. I'm trying to figure out who else you have off. Yeah, you don't have the Bills on your list at all, and they have them ranked at 11.
And I have the Raiders on and somebody else off.
Yeah, you have the Raiders on.
Cowboys.
Yeah, you took the Cowboys completely off. So that's our top 15s. We're going to quickly move into our picks here so we can get it over today.
Jace's MVP picks. Ours didn't change, but...
Oh, yeah, Jace didn't put his MVP picks last week. You have Lamar Jackson as your MVP right now?
Yes, right now, I think you look at who's improved their team the most, and by God, Lamar Jackson is a fuck of an upgrade over Joe Flacco.
That I don't disagree with. You do have McCaffrey as your offensive player, which I think we all picked. Your defensive player is a little different. You have Stephon Gilmore.
Yes, I think obviously
Gil Moore.
Gilmore, Stephon, but he plays on a really good team, really good defense. It's one of those things where I don't necessarily think he deserves it, but we're picking who we think is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. But not that he doesn't deserve it. He's played very well, but I think
right now
playing
he's
for the
on
Patriots,
a team that's 8-1 compared to a team that's trending upward that just broke 500.
Nail head, you hit it.
Okay. Your Defensive Rookie of the Year, you got Nick Bosa, which we all talked about last week. That would be the only other person we could think of that really compared.
And that for you, Uncle Lonnie.
Yeah, and that's also another thing, like you were mentioning with the Patriots, a team that was performing really well compared to a team that's 5-4.
Yes, I'm not necessarily disagreeing that Minka should get Defensive Player of the Year, and that Devin Bush should get Defensive Rookie of the Year, but they don't play for the flashy teams, and that's what happens.
I don't disagree with you on that one bit. And then Offensive Rookie of the Year, we're all in collusion there, where we have Josh Jacobs for everything. So I don't see anybody else that really offensively has performed as well. So
Jesse makes French Stewart faces sometimes. Yeah.
Thumbs up to anybody who can remember who French Stewart even is.
I don't know who
Third
that
rock
is, but I
sun, baby.
Well,
yes.
he was just making
those
those faces. He was making those faces because he had to say something nice about the Oakland Raiders. So
yeah, it's true.
It's like poison leaving his mouth.
It hurt me on the inside.
I think his face is frozen. I don't know what the hell's going on.
So let's do our picks real quick so we can sign off for the day. Obviously, the tomorrow night's game is the Steelers at Cleveland Browns. I obviously am going with the Steelers on this one. I think the Browns are not good. Sorry, Uncle Lonnie. Kevin or Jace, who do you have?
I love you, Uncle Lonnie, and I'm taking the Browns, and they're going to win.
Wow. Okay. Kevin.
Steelers. Fuck you, Jace.
And then Andy.
Actually on FanDuel right now, the Browns are the favorite. So there's a chance to go win some money there for you, Jace, because I'm taking the Steelers.
Well,
All right.
I can tell you right now, if you're taking them and you tell me to go make money off of it, I'm not going and making that bet.
All right.
That'd
We
be like
have
taking a
the
Jace junk bet.
yeah. We have
Darren
the
Waller
Texans.
scored that touchdown.
Oh my fuck. We have the Texans at the Ravens. I believe this is going to be a week where the Ravens. You go against Deshaun Watson every week in practice. I think that is the most comparable quarterback right now to Lamar, besides Deshaun Watson being able to throw the ball a lot better. I think the Texans are going to win this one. I think they're going to prove that they're a lot better than we all thought. Chase?
I'm going to go with the Ravens, and just specifically for the fact that they're at home. This is a Texans team that has traded for Gary and Conley and just claimed Vernon Hargreaves off of waivers after the Bucs let him go.
Yep.
They are hurting at corner.
They're picking up everybody's trash.
Basically, they're trying anybody they can at corner. So I wouldn't honestly be surprised to see Lamar have a good passing game in this one.
Captain Monerland, bring him in.
Kevin, who do you got?
The Texans, they get to go against Deshaun Watson every week in practice, but they probably suck as bad against him as they will against Lamar Jackson this week. The Ravens are going to win.
All right, Ravens it is. Andy?
Ravens.
Okay.
That's it.
We have the Falcons at the Panthers. I don't know what happened last week, but the Panthers are going to win this week. Jace?
Swear to Christ, the Falcons fucked my parlay last week, so I'm going to take the Panthers again. I swear to God, I lose twice in a row. Fuck Matt Ryan.
Fuck, man.
Kevin?
McCaffrey and Allen for days.
All right, Andy?
Panthers.
All right, Panthers it is. Cowboys at the dwindling Lions. I think I have to go with the Cowboys on this. I think the Lions have kind of fallen off now, and they're out of playoff contention at this point. Jace?
I think regardless of whether Stafford plays or not, I'm still taking the Cowboys.
Yep. Kevin?
I'm going to take the Cowboys if Stafford doesn't play. If Stafford plays, I'm going Lions.
Okay.
Put a little asterisk.
Andy?
The classic
That's
Kevin
exactly
flip-flop
what
game.
I'm doing too. If Stafford plays, I'm taking the Lions.
Oh my God, you're going to make me put a fucking asterisk next to the fucking games because you're a bunch of coyers. All right.
Hey,
This is
We're
a
an
very important thing.
LGBTQ friendly podcast.
Yes.
It's a
You're
figure of
bunch
speech.
queer.
Wow, you
it's-
really need to quit being such a Jew.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have to scrap this whole.
That's
Kelly
why
Stafford's tits.
That's why I mark explicit content on every time I upload these.
It's always we're doing
Check the
okay,
box.
and then Kevin chimes in, and then Kevin just takes us completely off.
The cheese between her tits. Shut the hell
It's
up.
like-
Kevin.
It's like, oh, whatever. Well, we're gonna go into an anti-Semitism rant right now.
Well, just his nose. Just his nose. That's
Yeah.
the only Jewish part is the nose.
Oh my God.
Jaguars against the Colts.
Oh my god.
Is it confirmed if Jacoby's going to be back? He's already confirmed out this week, right?
I'll check real quick, but make your pick.
And I believe is Foles considered in.
He's playing.
So I'm going with the Colts still. Jace.
Regardless of whether Brissett's playing or not, I'm going to take Foles and the Jags.
Okay.
Uh,
Kevin.
I'm going to take Minshew and the Jags when Foles gets hurt in the beginning of the game.
Andy.
I'm taking the Jags as well. Lone Wolf.
All right. I'm all right with it. That's what got me ahead. Bills against the Dolphins. I think this one is a Bills game. The Dolphins have been trending upward, but they're still the Dolphins. Bills it is. Jace?
Real quick, not to backtrack, but Frank Reich did say this week, as long as there are no setbacks in practice or in pregame warmups, Brissett will play this week.
Okay. There you
Oh,
go.
Colts then.
Oh. Kevin
I'm still-
going against Minshew.
I'm still taking the Jags. And I will be honest, I was researching. What game are we on?
11. We are on the Bills Dolphins right now.
Oh, well, Bills. So
Okay. Kevin?
Bill.
Do you believe in magic?
You're going with the Dolphins?
Yep.
Okay. Trying to gain some
Fitz
games. I get
magic,
it.
baby.
And you're going with Bills, you said, Andy?
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
gonna Fitz fuck that up.
you know what? I'm going with Kevin. I'm a liar. I'll take the Dolphins.
You got your fat face.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Broncos at the
And everybody keeps
Vikings.
saying I'm the fucking bad one here.
Fuck
Well, just
faces.
don't-
I said fuck faces.
Don't add on to it. Don't.
Damn it.
All right.
Don't backpedal.
Vikings at home against the Broncos. I'm going the Vikings in this. Dalvin Cook is amazing. Jace.
I agree. I love Dalvin Cook. Vikings.
Kevin.
Wait, who are they playing again?
Broncos against the Vikings.
Oh, okay, Vikings.
And Andy.
Vikes.
You shouldn't take those.
Unless you want to have a good time.
Unless
you're from the
unless
With Kelly
prescribed by
Stafford's tits.
unless prescribed by a medical professional.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jace. Saints 7-2 at the 3-6 Bucks. Breeze has a 4-3 record versus Winston. Don't care. Still Saints.
Don't ask me.
Jace.
I'll take the Saints.
Kevin.
I'm gonna have to go with the Saints.
And Andy, you said don't ask me, so I assume you're picking Saints?
No, he
No,
loves
he
Jameis.
loves Jameis Winston.
He's the biggest Jameis Winston.
Wait, I'll
fan
make
on
I'll
earth.
make the Andy Stewart obligatory statement. Jameis Winston is a quarterback in the NFL.
Hey, if Byron Leftwich starts, I take the Buccaneers.
That's your contingent. I'll put an asterisk.
65-year-old Vincent Testaverde.
Vince Testaverde's fucking rotting corpse. If he starts,
The man's not dead yet, and you're wishing him away.
nobody
All
is
right.
like probably
Is
like
he though?
Is he though? Yeah, Jets at the Redskins. 2-7 team against a 1-8 team. I got to go with the Jets in this. I just feel like they're slightly better. Jace.
Yeah, the Redskins announced they're starting Haskins the rest of the year, so I'll take the Jets.
Yes. Kevin.
I don't know who plays a corner for the Jets, but they're going to be getting gifts dropped to them all the game. So Jets.
You could
Andy?
play corner for the Jets.
Jets.
All right. Cards at Niners. I don't know if I have to ask you guys, but yeah, Niners.
Was a close game the last time.
Jace.
Unanimous Niners.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, Niners.
Niners. Okay. Bengals at the Raiders. Another one I don't have to ask you. We all have the Raiders on this one.
Bengals versus the field. I'll take the field.
I look forward to Mike Glennon playing in the fourth quarter.
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Glenn
He's
on?
Glenn on. Our roster goes Carr, Glennon, Nathan Peterman, and Deshaun Kaiser. It's just forgotten quarterback.
Oh my
Where
god.
quarterbacks go to die.
Wait,
Ugh.
Glenn on is the actual backup then?
Yeah.
Yes, he is
Because
the
I
number
thought
2.
Peterman was the number 2 before he got
He's
hurt.
on IR.
God, no. Well, they put him on IR just because they do that at the beginning of the year because they're like, we want one guy instead of the other. Here, slip down these flight of steps and you're hurt.
Peterman.
So they can stash him on the practice squad.
Well, I thought Peterman, they were really grooming him because when they trade Carr to the Bears in the offseason, they need their new quarterback.
I'll murder you if that
Don't
happens.
fucking
Patriots and Eagles. I'm taking the Patriots. Who are you taking, Jace?
The Patriots are hosts, sir.
Kevin.
Now, see, this is why I think the Patriots are going to win
I
this
will
game.
fucking kill you.
We just had 2 murder threats in under a minute.
Patriots.
Wow.
Thank you,
Just
Andy.
call me a fag or something, why don't you?
This went from a sports podcast to an anti-Semitism rally. In like
Thank you for at least calling out. Thank you for calling out the elephant in the corner of the room. Jesus.
up here.
Oh, I hate you all.
Fuck faces.
Maize is corn.
It's amazing.
All right, pull together. All
right, everybody picks the frigging Patriots. Bears at the Rams. I'm taking the Rams because why the fuck not? Jace, go.
Christ. Oh, God. I'm picking between Trubisky and Goff. Fuck. I'll take Goff.
All right. Kayvon.
If peeing on yourself is cold, consider me Miles Davis.
Pissing on yourself.
I'll tell you who took
Rams.
those lunches. That damn Sasquatch.
Take God.
That Veronica Vaughn.
That
Wow.
damn Sasquatch.
Me
All right.
and her, I'll tell you what. No, you didn't. Well, her and
But
a guy
I knew
don't
a
know.
guy.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, they didn't.
But could
But
you
can
imagine?
they did, right? All right. Hey, Kevin, Bears or Rams?
I already said Rams while I
I
was
can't
laughing.
hear. I
Andy,
can't
Bears
hear
or Rams?
shit.
Andrew Stewart, Bears or Rams?
I said golf like. 30
Well, we
seconds.
Do you
went through a
think I
laughing
can
fit.
hear
I'm
you?
expediting. I'm trying to help.
Thank
Quit being
you.
a homo.
Chiefs and Chargers. Stop! I'm gonna wake up my wife yelling. Yeah, she's on cold medicine. She's out cold. Chiefs.
Oh, so you drug your wife now?
Benadryl.
No, I will say
She's
she was
sick.
Yeah,
she
was
is so
yeah.
sick right now. Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs it is for me. Chefs.
As much as I hope the Chargers pull an upset to help me in the division, I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Kevin.
As much as I'd like to gain a game on you guys, I'm going to have to stick with the Chiefs as well.
And Andy.
Chiefs. Patty Mahomes playing mad.
All right, thank you. Now we got the picks.
He's
in.
playing
I'll be
Madden.
able-
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's got the Madden curse. Yes, so we are all good. We got our picks in. I will be posting those along with our rankings and our MVP picks, all on the Pacer book. Sweet baby Jesus, what a frigging show this
Probably
week.
ought to put a rainbow flag behind him.
Yeah.
Just
Well, this is going to be one of those things.
Wounds.
People are going to hear my rant about Kaepernick and be like, good for them. And then they're going to hear the gay slurs come out and be like, we're turning this off.
Just so everybody knows, I have many gay family members.
Yeah.
Including himself.
I am the least controversial member of this podcast. I just want that known.
All right.
I
Shit.
don't know about that, brother.
This one ran long. Sorry,
Brother.
everybody out there.
Brother.
It's because Jace is long-winded why he picked somebody to be 10th on his power rankings. Well, here's what
the
I like
people
say
want to
about
hear
them.
what
You're
me
They're
and Jason
running
have
back,
to say.
and then
You're going to hit the bias button on me, huh? All right, here we go. I get to
All
talk
right.
about him once in a blue moon.
All right, thank you all for joining us this week. Sorry if we offended you. Don't tweet us.
I don't give a fuck if I offended you. Fuck up. No hurt feelings in this podcast. Don't be a bitch.
Don't
Wait,
be a
you can't
bitch,
say that,
you know?
can we?
Making like $200 a week.
All right, so thank you all for joining us. Thanks for sitting through this with us. We'll be back next week to talk about all the crap that happens over the weekend and
And how
hopefully-
wrong we were yet
and
again.
how horribly wrong we were.
And we will all meet back to laugh about how bad we suck at this.
Yes. Have a wonderful night, and as always, rage on.
Goodbye, Lonnie White.